drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody.
Ah, he wants to go off-road!
You ain't gonna shoot that shot when you got the lane?
Yo, he was right on my ass, man.
You wide open.
Who wrote this?
I did.
Ask him if he got the letter.
Did you get the letter?
What letter?
What's up, man? About to catch a fade, huh?
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya.
Living dead.
Drop these. Everybody.
Let the hate flow through you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're all here now.
Surprise!
It's not
Surprise,
a surprise.
motherfuckers! Surprise!
It's not a surprise
motherfuckers.
anymore. We were just I was acting.
Oh,
Acting.
all right. Who's taking the lead on this one?
Ooh, I've only seen it once, so
Yeah, I only watched it once too, and I took no notes.
I finished
Yeah.
it 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Cool. So it looks like you're in the best position to
All right.
Cool.
Man, I don't know if anybody needs to take the lead on this. This was a very standard sort of kids movie.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it set up everything that it set up. It was like LeBron's like the strict dad. So you know that he's going to learn his lesson. You know, you find out that he's like forcing his kids into making or like into playing basketball the same way he does. But that's not what at least one of his kids was into. So you know what lesson he's going to learn at the end of it. Surprisingly, though, I had a ton of fun watching this movie. I had a blast with this movie. The stuff that I saw from it before made it look like it was going to be horrible. Like the promos and stuff for this, I was like, oh, this is going to be another one where I'm just miserable watching this movie. But the whole time that I was watching this movie, I was like laughing out loud. If I was on a Chris Harvey scale right now, I would have like an 11.
Man. So just to intro people, you're listening to The Real Boys. We talk about movies. This week on Fridays when we're doing our casual episode, we are doing Space Jam: A New Legacy, the long-awaited sequel. I guess people really wanted this.
People really wanted to see this movie.
The long-awaited sequel to the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan, where he plays basketball at the Looney Tunes, so he does not get enslaved by aliens for the theme park. This one's got LeBron James, and if you replace the aliens with an algorithm that's an AI that is trying to digitally enslave people, you've got kind of the same movie. With a lot of references to other Warner Brothers properties, just everywhere inside here.
I did I did like how they like fixed in like Batman and Superman and all that stuff in there, and you see little cameos in the background while they're playing the game too.
An insane amount of cameos.
Yeah, but I did like how
definitely.
I was afraid it was gonna pull from the first one a lot, but surprisingly it didn't. There was some stuff that was pulled from the first one, like when Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny go, "Yeah, we've done this before. We don't need to do this again." Blah 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 blah. But yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I was surprised by it.
Yeah,
I was definitely surprised by like how original some of this stuff was. I was like Michael, man. I laughed out loud a few times, way more than I thought I was going to. My favorite part was definitely Foghorn Leghorn riding the dragon with the Game of Thrones reference. Y'all know I love Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
like I say, one day it's coming. Like that was my favorite part, man. All those little like all those little callbacks and stuff like that, I think helped make the movie, and how they weren't like the different kind of cartoons. Like I thought it was going to be all that kind of new age, blocky, 3D type of animation. And I like how they started it off with the kind of old school traditional and then kind of converted. So, because I think that's what hooked some of the older viewers like us.
Yeah, it was like when they were going through the different Warner Brothers worlds, how that worked. And then they're in like the DC cartoon universe, and it looked like those Bruce Timm cartoons. And then they were going through like the Matrix world, and it was like the actual clips from the movies and TV shows, and then they just added in the Looney Tunes. I was like, again, I don't know what it was about this movie. Like everything that happens in this movie is stuff that I'm normally like, oh God, I can't believe I'm watching this. But like every time they did it, I'm like, this is fun. I was just having fun the whole time.
Michael, I'll wear your villain hat this episode because I could not fucking stand this movie.
Here we go.
Okay, that might be a little harsh. But I kept thinking back, like I was trying to take notes. I didn't do any straight like narrative, like this happens. But I just kept writing down like, why are we doing this? Like, the original movie is like 88. It's like 90 minutes long.
Yeah,
and this one is like 2 hours, I think, and it just struck. It's just an advertisement for Warner Brothers in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of, the part that made me laugh out loud was putting Wile E. Coyote inside Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
That made me laugh out loud. That's the only reference in here that I was like, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
like
Wile E. Coyote looked awesome in that sequence.
And I was cool. Honestly, the other cameo I was cool with. I'm fine with the Rick and Morty stuff. Like, you can't really ruin those characters because they don't give a shit anyway.
Yeah, the Rick and Morty thing was definitely, that was the one I wouldn't have expected. Like, if you would have asked me what Warner Brothers properties were going to be in there, Rick and Morty would have been not even like in the back of my mind. It would have been like in the living room behind me.
And then I also liked the Michael Jordan joke. When they reveal Michael Jordan, I'm like, that's funny, and that's like a clever callback, like reincorporation bit.
Yeah.
The rest of it,
the way that they did the Michael B. Jordan joke was so good because it had to be as long as it was.
Yes. With
and
the
he
build
comes
up.
in and, we found Michael Jordan, and then you hear the footsteps, and then you see the shoes, and then you see everybody's faces, and then he comes out of the shadows, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan, you couldn't find Michael A. Jordan. Like, I liked that. And then the rest of the movie just fell flat for me. I don't know. And it's been a while since I've seen the original.
I did like the part because I'm a fan of the TV show, but I did like the part where Michael B. Jordan was just like, what does it say? Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. And I was just like, yes, that's awesome. I was like, I have to watch this show now.
Yeah, it had a lot of like old school Looney Tunes jokes, and I'm not like a huge Looney Tunes guy, but the stuff that they did was all stuff that always works for me whenever I watch a Looney Tunes cartoon, like Marvin the Martian getting crushed by the like ramp from his own spaceship. That happens like 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yeah.
Rule of threes, if it happens 3 times, it's funny automatically. But like,
hey, on the Marvin the Martian part, did you see the part right when he was changing the Stingray settings or the ray gun settings? Sorry.
Yeah.
And it said like, I don't know if anybody caught, but one of them said Charles Ray.
Charles. Yep. That was the one. My wife and I both laughed at that one. And it was like a different color, I think, so that it stood out more, so that people like paid attention to it, because it was pretty fast. But yeah, like very good. A lot of like stupid. I think the fact that there was so much stupid stuff that went on was what did it for me, because there was always something happening. The one time that the movie sort of drags is during the basketball game. I'm like, this doesn't need to be quite this long, but up until then it was moving at a good pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was watching it with my 3-year-old, and that was the part I had to get up and start moving around and doing stuff for him. And I noticed I was kind of like, I had lost, kind of started losing interest throughout the game. I'm like, all right, hurry up here. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know, like it was cool at the beginning when they showed like it wasn't going to be a traditional basketball game. And I was kind of interested in what they, you know, I wanted to see everybody's powers. That part was cool. But like after that, it kind of slowed down. That scene could have been about 10 minutes shorter.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
on the Colby Cutting scene scale.
Yeah, and it was all in the first half of the game. It was like the part that it felt like it was the longest was, like you said, Jerry, and right after like sort of the intro, you know, we're figuring out what we're doing here, and then up until halftime, that part really dragged. But then once it was halftime, you know, LeBron learns his lesson. You know, then we figure out what we're actually doing, how we're going to beat this other team. You know, that's when it started moving again. But yeah, it was the basketball scene. Unfortunately, you know, that was the big part of, you know, what they were doing. This is like the climax of the movie. And for me, at least, it was the low point of the movie was this big climax.
Anybody?
Space Jam 2. I don't have a whole lot to say about this.
Yeah. The only thing I really didn't like about this movie was all the sponsorship plugs they had in it. Like you see him when he falls into the ground, it was a Nike symbol, and then he had the NBA thing on his arm and during the game.
Yeah. And then how they showed Beats headphones like 70 times.
Yeah.
For no reason. The kid was going into the E3 like whatever camp, and he just had a pair of Beats hanging out of his backpack for no reason. Just so you could see them.
He doesn't take care of his possessions. You should really keep those inside.
Yeah, those are very expensive headphones to just let hang out of your backpack.
I do think that joke can be done right, like if they do it Wayne's World 1 style. You know how they were kind of, you know, like mocking and kind of like talking shit about it like Dan is, but while wearing Adidas and stuff, you know, and Nike and stuff. Shameless, man, how they try to plug it and they like drinking Dr. Pepper. Like that, I think that would have been funnier if they're gonna like litter the movie with.
Yeah, I did like when LeBron fell through the earth and it left a Nike symbol. Like that was another thing. I couldn't help myself. I just laughed at it, and I'm like, why am I laughing at this? This shit is so stupid.
Yeah, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, it looks like Nike's sponsoring this movie.
Yeah. And it was all over the movie, like close-ups on shoes and on everybody's jersey. I think the bad guys didn't have it on their jersey, but everybody on the Toon Squad had it on their jersey. You know, everybody was wearing Nike shoes. And that was throughout the whole movie. So yeah, I think Beats and Nike were the ones who really paid for this movie. Which is fine. I mean, it's a dumb cartoon movie. The product placement was like whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the someone else.
One of the things I didn't like was the style points when they had in the game, because I wanted to be like traditionalist, and I know it's the Looney Tunes, like some weird shit's gonna happen, but I kind of wanted to like kind of keep it on the like as a regular basketball game, but it really didn't happen that way. And when I saw style points, I was like, what the fuck? How are you gonna get 1,000 points on one basket? Come on.
It was the kid's game. That's the game that he designed. The kid. But when he originally showed it off, I was like, this kid invented NBA Jam.
I was just literally about to say that. He stole the idea. It wasn't even NBA Jam. It was NBA Street. Yeah, there's a game called NBA Street, and they do all that like crazy. It's like they saw NBA Jam and like the part where it's on fire. They're like, okay, we're gonna make the whole game with tricks like that. And so that's how the game's played, and it's literally NBA Street.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. The court was
that
cool.
one I didn't play. I played so much NBA Jam, so that was sort of like my reference point when the game showed up. I'm like, this is just, one-on-one NBA Jam with you as a character. I was wondering why, because for no reason this kid is scanning snakes and spiders and stuff, and it's like, you're not putting this in your basketball game. This is gonna come up later.
Right.
Well, and then he hides it from his dad, like he's doing something that he should be guilty of.
Right.
It's like, what are you doing with those scans, kid?
Why aren't you playing basketball? Get your ass out there in the driveway.
Yeah, it was
I'm
really
LeBron
weird
James.
because whoop. Go ahead, Jarian.
I just said he was screaming, "My dad won't accept my inner nerd."
Yeah, and they really like. Again, I'm a casual basketball fan. I enjoy watching basketball, but I'm not like a deep fan. I like LeBron a lot, but I can tell you one thing: LeBron is definitely better at than Michael Jordan is acting. Like he's a decent actor in this movie, and from what I saw of clips and stuff from the first one, Michael Jordan is a horrible actor. So I was glad. And then we're watching all
except for one scene with LeBron, bro. At the end when he was with his son and he was like, "Bro, I love you."
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah, the "I love you" thing was.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was so bad.
Yeah,
he's an amazing voiceover actor, though.
Yeah, his voiceover was very good, and that's harder than people think.
Yeah,
doing voice acting is harder than people think. So the fact that he could do that was pretty good. But I was surprised because, infamously, like all the people in the first Space Jam couldn't have cared less. Even the people who are good actors were like phoning it in for that movie. But like Don Cheadle was chewing it up in here. Like Sarah Silverman was very good in her scene. Stephen Yeun was good, when he was on screen. Like all of even the people who just had little cameos, like Michael B. Jordan, always good and stuff, even when it's bad. But like he was in it for 5 seconds, and he's like, when he turns tail and like, I'm gonna go back to my seat. Like I was laughing at that too, because he was taking it seriously for his dumb little comedic role in Space Jam 2.
I was kind of hoping he was gonna play. Like Bill Murray did in the first one.
I was kind of hoping he was going to play too.
Right. That would have been cool.
I really think everybody that grew up watching this, like Michael B. Jordan and LeBron and everything, they kind of brought their A game because they knew, they were kind of redoing the cult classics, so it's never going to be as good as Space Jam. They already know that's coming, but they still got to like, you know what I mean? Like everybody, even Damian Lillard, like he did a great job in his small role. Like he was funny, his little character. I think he should have had a little bigger role. But yeah, he was good.
This movie is interesting because it's like everybody who's involved crew wise and cast are pretty clearly like in for it. Like they're all given none of them feel like they're phoning it in. Everybody feels like they're trying to be very authentic to it. Yeah. And then I have some issue with like the overall like worship of Warner Brothers. Just the inclusion of all these other characters, I think, just feels to me, and I understand this isn't exactly universal, feels like an advertisement. And I guess the original was based on an advertisement for shoes, and I think that might just be something I need to get over.
Yeah. I mean, it was
the MJ shoes.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I thought the cameos were really fun, like when King Kong and the Iron Giant, like, fist bump, and when Don Cheadle's like, King Kong's got nothing on me, and then they show King Kong and he's just like,
yeah.
Like,
that was cool.
Everything, even the guy who was in the front who was supposed to be the guy from the Matrix, the bad guy from the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
It took me
Smith
about
or whatever.
It took me about 3 times of them going past him like, is that really that guy? But it definitely wasn't, but they got a good enough, version of him. The guy who played Robin in the background looked like he was about 55 years old.
Yeah.
I did like how they made Speedy Gonzalez the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, man. For a kids movie, and I never saw the original Space Jam, but I would be surprised if even people who are Space Jam fans would say, Space Jam 1 is great, this one's terrible. Because this was definitely not a terrible movie, and I imagine that even if you don't like it as much as the original because that's the one that you grew up with or whatever, I don't think you can say Space Jam 1 was a good movie and this one was bad. I don't think you can say that.
Right. I think they're about equal.
So I heard earlier today that when the first one came out, it got crucified. It was like 44% or something, really, really low. And then it was re-released, and then it hit like 84 or something like 20 years later. So this will probably have low, like a low review. And then in 15, 20 years, like it'll be more appreciated, when they re-release it or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be pretty well looked at. This is one of those movies where you can't really trust critic response. Because this movie is subjective on a whole bunch of levels. It's comedy, it's nostalgia, it's that sort of stuff. So, yeah,
and there are a bunch of movie critics that are famously, like Roger Ebert said, I can't review the Pokemon movie because I don't know anything about Pokemon.
Right.
So I'm going, when I go into this, it's going to be stupid to me. Like, if I didn't know anything about Pokemon and I went in and watched the first Pokemon movie, that shit sucks. But, but when you're into Pokemon, like, it's a whole different thing. And I think that Space Jam is that. Like, if you go into it, if I would have gone into it with a critical eye like I normally do, actually, that's not true, because I usually, especially since I talked to Jerry and on his podcast, I've been trying to go a little bit lighter on the movies, like go in with, but then if something snaps in my brain that I can't get over, then that's when I'll start, going off. But in this, nothing ever snapped. It was just like, oh, this is stupid, but I'm laughing. Oh, this is stupid, but I'm smiling. Oh, this is stupid, but like, even when the basketball game was going along, I'm looking out into the crowd and I'm like, oh, there's 60s Batman next to, 90s, 80s Catwoman next, and the Penguin that they had there from Batman Returns was pretty good. And it was just, there was always something to look at. No matter what was going on, there was something to look at. Right. Maybe it was my ADD that let me go with this movie.
I think you finally, bro, just watched the movie for what it was. Like you went into it and you just watched it and you just accepted it for what it is. Like it's here's something for the parents that brought these little kids, and here's some stuff for the little kids. It was just pretty much an even mixture of both. Almost a little bit more for the parents if you really think about it.
It had a lot for people who went based on nostalgia for the original.
Yep, for sure.
Yes.
And it was all placed well because the cartoon basketball stuff was up front and all of the stuff for the parents was in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the most part, nothing was, there was no like adult stuff front and center ever. It was all dumb cartoon stuff that was front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway.
So basically what we have is, again, a very standard movie where we set up, LeBron, when he's growing up, he gives up the stuff that he wants to do in order to be a better basketball player. And the lesson that he has to learn is that not everybody needs to do that. a Michael Jordan, a LeBron. Like, I don't care how much you practice. There's not many LeBrons. There's not many Jordans. There's not many, I don't know football players.
Hey.
I don't know basketball players. But,
I don't know many.
Listen, I was waiting for the one part for the kid to just turn around and be like, "Dad, shut the fuck up. We're rich."
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, because
you sort of got
if
it.
you think about it, he was pushing him like they were at any inner city struggling family, and he was like a generation. Like he was pushing him like he was pushed by his mom and coaches and stuff. And it was kind of funny to me. I'm like, this kid doesn't want to do that. He's going to go buy a team. He's going to go to school and then buy your team. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's not trying to be on the team.
So we've got to usher Dan Levely out. He has some other priorities to take care of. Dan, you want to give us an outro? Who you are, etc.
Yeah, I'm Dan Levely. Oops Coffee Smoking. Bet That with Dan and Jerian every Thursday night at 9 o'clock. Oops Coffee Smoking Saturday night also at 9 o'clock EST. And catch me out on the Real Boys Monday and Fridays. And I want to go ahead and give this one I'm gonna like a 7.5, I guess. It was cool. I enjoyed it. Like I didn't get bored. It was a 2-hour movie, and I didn't really realize it was a 2-hour movie until it was done. So it was about a 7.5, and I liked all the stuff it had with the original, but I also like how it kept it separate also. And toss up, they're about the same. I would have to go with the original only because I'm old.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I gotta go get my girl. So.
Yeah, I would definitely see that being. I would definitely see that being the case. If you grew up with this one, I would for sure think that this would be the one that you would go with. I might actually watch the original one. See you later, Dan.
See you guys.
Have a good one, Dan.
Peace.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that I'm not gonna like, because I have seen clips of the original. So watching that one now, I have a feeling I'm going to hate that one.
The original is way more Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And it's because they, Michael Jordan, not an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that they got for it didn't care enough. But like you said earlier, everybody who's in this movie was giving 100%. And they weren't like chewing it up. Like nobody was. Don Cheadle was, but I think that was his character.
Yes.
And I mean, when Don Cheadle chews it up, forget about it. Like he's like almost Nicolas Cage in like being like lovable while he's doing that over the top shit. Like I think he's a very good choice for that role. But yeah, everybody was doing it. Everybody was doing their thing. LeBron's acted before in small roles, but he's always, he does it. Like he's giving 100% too. And you could tell in this movie that everybody really did care. And it's not a great movie. It's definitely not a great movie, but it's a very fun movie.
I would definitely not have any problem putting this on for kids. It does drag a bit, but if you need 2 hours filled and they like any of the characters in here, I think this is a pretty safe bet, which I think is probably as much of a recommendation as you can get for this movie.
Yeah.
Like your kids will probably be fine for 2 hours sitting and watching this. Like,
Yeah, this I could also see this being a good background movie while I'm, doing chores and stuff. Look up while you're folding the laundry and see, Marvin the Martian getting squished and, Bugs Bunny doing some wacky shit. That
Porky
comic
Pig rapping.
Porky Pig rapping, which was that a part of the original? Was there like a rap scene in the original?
Nope.
I don't think they do any music in the original.
No, that was all new, man. And I love that part. So I'm glad you brought that up.
It was pretty good, honestly. I thought the pig rap kind of landed.
Yeah. Oh, they landed.
Notorious P.I.G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything in it was just so silly. I don't know, man. I had a fun time watching it. And like Dan said, you know, this movie was 2 hours. It didn't feel 2 hours until we were playing basketball, which I kind of had a feeling it was going to, because all of LeBron's like character growth came from halftime. And I think they needed a bigger build up to him learning that lesson. So that's why that first half of the basketball game went quite so long.
Well, hey, I got to get my reels and get out of here unless we're about to wrap it up altogether.
I mean, Michael, do you have anything more to say about this movie?
Not necessarily. I mean, we can get Jerry out of here so he can go do his thing. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just going to be reiterating the fact that I had a fun time, and thanks, Jerry. And I don't think I would have had as much fun as I did if I didn't have you in the back of my mind going, just fucking chill, dude. Just watch the movie.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get through it, man. You got to, especially when we're doing our top fives, man. We got to go into this open minded. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got. Especially like when I had to do Clockwork Orange, I was like, I got to sit here and watch this.
Well, we got a tie-in with Clockwork Orange this week. Yeah, you can see those characters in the background. Yeah.
But as far as this movie though, man, I'm gonna give it. I think where did I put an 8? I think I put an 8. Cool. I'm gonna give it an 8 though, man. All the nostalgia. I love Looney Tunes. I grew up on it. I like the references. I like how they went more old school cartoon instead of the blocky 3D. I wasn't really looking forward to that, so I was pleasantly surprised about that. And then everybody gave 110%. All the actors, all the cameos were funny. All the callbacks. It was good, man. It was a good time. Strong 8. Nothing more to say about it, man. Jerry and Blaze, the Cloud Chronicles, Bet That with Dan and Jerry, and of course the real boys with these knuckleheads right here.
Yeah. All right, man. Peace. Well, you have a good night.
All right, you too, guys. Peace.
Yeah, right on.
See ya.
Yeah. So, we did have a guest pop in backstage briefly, but he's gone right now. So, yeah, I don't know where he went, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I came in here expecting everybody to have a more negative opinion of the movie, but I'm the outlier on this one.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely went into it thinking it was going to be bad because everything that I saw from the original was horrible. And this actually may have done itself a service by putting out such terrible trailers because the 2 trailers that I saw were garbage. And it was like the opposite of Without Remorse. Was that the Michael B. Jordan one that we did? Where the trailers,
I wasn't here for that one.
The trailers looked amazing. And then that movie sucked. So the fact that the trailers for this were so bad, you know, and I was just expecting to be like, oh, this movie, I can't believe we're watching this. So I went in with that. And then as soon as the Looney Tunes start doing some loony shit, and I see that, you know, LeBron's a decent actor. The kids that they have being their kids are good actors. The woman who played his wife is gorgeous and also a good actor. And then, you know, you see how like his childhood buddy who's a goofball. And then we see the Looney Tunes and they're doing funny shit right away. I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to be fun. And then I was in the fun mindset and had fun with the movie.
I did note that the scene where his cousin, nephew, uncle, his relative is like talking with the security guard. I thought that was a really funny scene. And I was really hoping for more like funny writing as opposed to just gags on screen. Because when they had a chance to be funny, I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, I'm in again. And then something kind of goofy happens. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
That might just be my aversion to slapstick, but
well, if you have an aversion to slapstick, Looney Tunes is not gonna be your thing.
I'm generally fine with the Looney Tunes. I watched a lot of it when I was younger, and it was on TV. I don't generally go back and watch what they have out now, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything new, but yeah, you're right. That scene did stick out as having definitely the best comedy writing.
Yeah.
But the slapstick was always fun. Like when LeBron lands on the Looney Tunes planet and then Bugs is like, chase me. And then he paints the thing and he gets through. And then LeBron, like all of the cartoon shit that LeBron did, anytime he got his face smacked up against something and then he slid down.
Yeah.
You know, it always worked for me. He gave very good like Looney Tunes mothers and
energy.
Like,
yeah.
So it was all just very stupid fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, when, you know, even when the basketball game was dragging, I found myself looking through the crowd to see what weird cameo I could see.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I did have one question about and I think you're the one to answer.
Okay.
Is The Conjuring a Warner Brothers property? Was that the nun from The Nun?
Okay. Sure was. The Conjuring characters are in the background. Okay. Well, because we watched The Conjuring 3 on HBO Max for the show.
Yes.
And so, I was like, wow, they really are just throwing everything in the kitchen sink, aren't they?
Yeah. I was surprised at how prominently featured that nun was. Because she was right in the front row. And even at one point, she's like praying the rosary.
Yeah. Well,
which was so weird in this Looney Tunes movie.
I was wondering why the Matrix sequence was the one like movie reference that had the most attention paid to it during their little montage. Matrix 4 is coming out in 2022 or 3 as a Warner Brothers picture.
Okay.
The amount of Game of Thrones references kind of threw me off because I don't think it's so well remembered in current day.
Yeah, well, I think they gave it enough time because those first 4 seasons are very good.
4.5 maybe, and then 6.
So as a whole, it was a very good series, and I think people were just mad about. I mean, I was one of them. I was one of them that was mad about that last season. It's very bad, but I think it's been long enough now that people are like, I liked Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely that way. You know, I was mad. I'm like, fuck Game of Thrones. I hate it. I never want to see it again. But now, you know, because Jarian's talking about watching it, and I'm like, oh, those first couple of seasons were really, really good. So I think it's getting back to being well remembered.
It broke my heart, and I don't have the confidence to like text it back again. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Game of Thrones, we're not doing a Game of Thrones podcast yet. I mean, having Bran live through the entire thing, and then I was just waiting. Every episode that came on of that show, I was like, is this the one where Bran dies? Come on, Bran, get killed. You know, no, he's the key to everything in that series.
Never did.
Nope.
And that sucks. All right, that was our Game of Thrones podcast.
That was our corner discussion on Game of Thrones. I think you were saying earlier you had brought up the Lola Bunny Amazon sequence in this.
Yes.
That one took me by surprise too, and I think because we had the same opinion on like how it was animated like a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly the scene where the comic panel recedes into the distance behind them is what stuck out to me from that.
It looks really cool. I like the way that Wonder Woman's hair was animated in a very comic book looking style. The whole sequence was very good. You know, her going through these trials and then like Bugs Bunny and LeBron like on the traps, like you have to help us. I thought was very good. I don't know, man. I wish I had something bad to say about this, but you know, everybody was doing their thing. I was expecting a very stupid bad movie, and all I got was a stupid movie.
I was expecting it to be worse. I definitely went in with very low expectations.
Yeah, I think everybody was expecting it to be worse.
They honestly about matched it. Like I didn't expect it to be great, and it wasn't great. And I'm just like, all right, that's 2 hours of a movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's something you can put in your arsenal if you want your kids to be busy for 2 hours. I think it'll hold their attention if they like know some movies. Like they might recognize some people in here just by pop culture osmosis. Like Dr. Freeze is in the front row of the basketball game, but it's very much not the Arnold version.
Okay. And they do show LeBron as Dr. Freeze.
They do,
in
right?
That once in the DC Comics world.
Yeah,
I was a little bit disappointed that when they were in those Bruce Timm, in the DC world, that they didn't have like Batman or Superman talk with the voices that they used for those cartoons.
Yeah, the Justice League shows up very, very briefly as a silent cameo at the end of that. Yeah,
it's a little bit weird.
It's. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I wonder if the properties for those are. I wonder the property rights are some bizarre labyrinth.
I have a feeling that they used all of their Beats and Nike money. Already. So they're like, all right, we're not paying these professional actors, to say 2 lines in this throwaway scene.
Yeah,
but the whole thing, Bugs going through and getting this team, even though they did have access to King Kong and the Iron Giant and fucking Green Lantern and Superman and the Flash, we're getting the Roadrunner instead of the Flash.
I did wonder when they were doing that. I'm like, why are you pretending you're not going to get the whole Looney Tunes team together?
I don't know that they ever pretended that, because from the jump, Bugs was pretty out about, no. I have guys that are even better than these superheroes and giant monster people that you're talking about. Let's get Tweety Bird. I guess it
is LeBron who's the one who's kind of pushing, like, oh, we're gonna get Superman, we're gonna get King Kong, and Buzz is just kind of like, yeah, okay, let the guy do what he's doing. I'm gonna take us where we need to go.
Yeah. It was one of those things where this is probably the dad in me talking, but there are some things, even though my kid is grown up now, there are some things that are special in that I can watch this with my kid and not be miserable the entire time. When they were a kid, it was a lot of SpongeBob. It was a lot of iCarly. It was a lot of, and then there was a bunch of garbage that I couldn't stand. So the stuff that I could stand while we were watching it has a special place in my heart. And this movie is definitely one of those things, not necessarily for me, because I don't need to keep my kid quiet for 2 hours anymore, but I still have that part of my brain that still works. And if I had a little kid, if I had a 3 to 5 year old kid, this would definitely be something, not just, oh, I'm going to shut you up for 2 hours, but let's sit down and watch this together.
Yeah.
And I still like that sort of thing. And this is definitely one of those sorts of things. I think I'm going to need to do something in the next couple of weeks here to get my edge back, because I feel like I'm getting to be a little bit of a softie here. And I don't want to, when we get to some of these terrible movies that some of these guys have later in their lists, I don't want to be like, well, maybe Boondock Saints is a pretty okay movie. I don't want to be like that. I want to tear into this thing.
Okay. I think that's as much of a ringing kind of sentimental note to end the review on. Yeah. All I have left is a joke about, if you digitize someone, are they actually the original, or is this just some horrific copy of LeBron James walking around now? But I think the moment's passed. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
I think they should have put LeBron into that duplicating machine that Wile E. Coyote goes into.
Yeah.
Oh, I did remember one more joke that I thought was very funny.
Okay.
when they're in the real world practicing basketball at the beginning, and the older son is like, ball, and then it keeps hitting him in the head. Like,
it's just something like spaghetti and meatballs or something, just smacks him in the face. Yeah.
I'm laughing when that happens. So
I mean, the kids were fine actors too, which you don't always get. Like, child actors are real hit and miss, and I think both of these guys really did pretty well in here.
Yeah, especially the younger one.
Yes,
that's where you're usually getting the stinkers. But
he had to carry the emotional weight of the movie on him.
Yep, and he did it.
Yeah,
he did
I think so.
Very good performances out of everybody. Let's get Dylan up to a 7 on this thing, and we'll get out of here.
You already brought me up 2, so
wow.
let's say your and my reel's the total, and then we'll get to our special little reel wheel segment.
Okay, let's get to the.
Go ahead, Michael.
All right. Well, maybe the wheel will get me my edge back this week.
Yeah.
So I liked it, man. Damn it, Jerry, and I just sounded like him.
He got you.
He got me. He gets me in too good of a mood.
Yeah.
But I did. I liked it. I had fun the whole time. I'm giving it a 7.5. I can't not like a movie that's just fun, and it has exactly the right amount of stupid, where the stupid just keeps happening. And when the stupid doesn't hit, there's a stupid in a couple minutes that does. So there's always something to look at. And then if we're doing plugs, I'm only going to plug one thing this week. It's my new show that I do with my kid. The first episode is out, where we sort of explain how the show is going to go. It's called Generation Clash. It's myself and my kid, and we are trying to get each other to appreciate each other's music. So next Thursday is my first episode, which is on the Dead Kennedys, and then it's going to be a bi-monthly show, so every other week. So two Thursdays after that is their first one, which is My Chemical Romance, which
I've got a soft spot for My Chemical Romance, man. I listened to them a lot in middle school, and
I didn't. I was too old when that style of emo came out. I was from the older school of the hardcore emo stuff.
Yeah.
So when the MCR'd Panic at the Disco, and I actually have a bunch of good stories about emo from the 90s that are in that episode. So subscribe to Generation Clash. It's really a fun show, and I play the songs underneath us talking. So if the record companies are like cool about it, we're gonna leave that in. But I know
they're coming to get you, Michael.
I'm not expecting it, but I do have episodes with the songs taken out. So if I do get like a DMC or something, that I can just put the regular episodes up.
All right. Yeah. And, I'm Dylan. I'm part of Some Nobodies. You can find us at Silicon Angels. Create your own pod venture appeal. Twitching upstream on Tuesdays, talking upstream on Sundays, here on the Real Boys Monday, Friday. No Time to Binge on Wednesday. We got a lot of stuff going on. And you can find my writing personally in Apostrophe's monthly digital magazine by Venom Studios. I write about how to write for podcasts and some storytelling stuff and stuff like that. So check it out. And I'm giving this movie a 4, which is the improved score. Now that's a 2 out of 5, which is perfectly fine for a movie that is subjectively funny. It was way harsher while and immediately after I was watching it, and as it normally does, as the movie kind of sank in, I'm like, it's not nearly as bad as you think it is initially. I had a strong kind of reaction to just throwing characters at the screen. Not a huge fan of reference humor, like, isn't it funny that this character from this movie showed up? I'm like, not really. But that's kind of the entire purpose of this franchise, and it's a franchise now. I do think it's a shame. They had plans in 2003 to make Skate Jam with Tony Hawk.
Yes.
And I think that would have been fantastic, at least for me at that time.
I heard that there was one that they were trying to do with like a race car driver, and it was going to be called Race Jam, and that's a bad idea.
That's a bad title.
Yeah, it's a very bad title.
Was it Dale Earnhardt? I think it was Earnhardt.
It was
one of those guys. I don't know racers.
I know NASCAR less than I know basketball.
Yeah, and I don't really know basketball either. So yeah, given Dan's rating and Jarian's rating, that brings us up to 27 out of 40, which is about 6.75, which feels fair for the panel tonight.
That feels about right where it should be.
Yeah.
A little bit better than average.
Yeah.
It wasn't spectacular, but I was having fun, so
it's sufficient.
I gave it a fun score.
And in this scenario, I think sufficient is just fine.
Yeah.
And that is our review of Space Jam, is it New Legacy?
New Legacy.
The New Legacy, which go check it out. You can find it on HBO Max if you want, or pay for it in theaters if you really want. This has been Casual Friday. We are going to find out right now what next Friday is going to be. This is the Real Wheel. We put on, I think, 16, so each of us got to put 2 on the wheel, and we're doing like fan suggestions. You can go to facebook.com for the Real Boys and suggest your wheel additions here, and we'll make it on probably eventually. But until then, Michael, is there anything on here that you want to see?
Rubber.
I want to see Rubber as well. And
I love Rubber, and I hate that it's right next to beaches.
Well, let's see what we're going to win here. Let's see. The wheel has, I think, a slightly higher lose record.
Oh.
Okay. We're going to be watching Mulan 2019, the live-action Disney remake of the beloved animated classic from like 99, maybe? I don't know.
Man,
it's from a while ago.
Again, I have a blind spot for late 90s to like 2010 Disney.
Yeah.
So I've never seen the original, and I've never seen this. I do know that Zach absolutely hates it. So
yes. Yeah, I really like the original. And part of that was the fantasy elements appealing to me when I was a kid and watching it. It's got not just the dragon, but like it's got a bunch of epic kind of like not medieval because it's ancient China, but you know what I mean. It's got sort of element to it. And I'm curious to see, because I know the movie changed a lot of the fantastical stuff. So we'll see. I don't know. I think that's what we got to look forward to next week, everybody. And then let's see. Monday, we are doing Forrest Gump. The venerable Chris Harvey is probably going to be here because it's his movie, so hopefully he shows up for it.
He said he was going to.
The movie is like 6 days long, so we might still be watching it by the time we get to the Monday show.
2 hours and 22 minutes. I just looked it up on IMDb while we were eating dinner tonight.
Yeah. And my opinion of this movie, from what I remember, is that it's fine. I don't have a strong dislike of this like some people do.
Yeah, I also am of the mind that it's fine.
Yeah.
So the people who do really dislike it, I'm wanting to know their opinion. Of course, I may also be of the same opinion after I watch it again. I probably haven't seen it since 2005.
Yeah,
maybe?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. So I'm ready. Maybe this will get me back into my angry groove.
Your antagonist role?
Yeah.
Right on.
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable where I am right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey. Hey, everybody, you've been watching The Real Boys. We like watching movies and talking about them, and that's why we're here. Like we said, tune in on Monday for our discussion on Forrest Gump. A lot of people really have a high opinion of this movie, so we're going to see how this one goes. Next Friday is Mulan, the 2019 remake. You can find us where we said you could find us, and we'll catch you next week, everybody. Be well out there.
Drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody.
He wants to go off-road.
Are you gonna shoot that shot when you get the land?
Yo, he was right on my ass, man. But you were wide open.
Who wrote this?
I did.
Ask him if he got the letter.
Did you get the letter?
What letter?
What's up, man? About to catch a fade, huh?
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya.
Living dead.
Drop these. Everybody.
Let the hate flow through you.